All right, how's everyone doing today? Today.
Good.
Good? Okay, it's Wednesday, only 2 days until Friday. Well, 3. You count where we are during the day, right? I'm always very excited on Wednesdays. Okay, can you guys hear me well?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. Let me just make sure I have my presentation on. Yep. Okay. Okay, so last week in science, we went back to matter for a little bit and we looked at the different states of matter, which are, can someone remind me? Daniel G.
Ice, water, or no, solid, liquid, and gas.
All right, thanks, Javen. You got ahead of us, but that's okay. Solid, liquid, and gas. And I thought it would be important to go over that before we went into clouds, because we had been doing weather before that. We stopped, we looked at the states of matter, and we were coming back to clouds because they are related. And it's important to know the states of matter to be able to understand how clouds form. So that's why we took that break from weather, but we went back. Now, any questions about last week? No? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing because I want us to watch a video. Let me click on share sound. Okay. And
Dread caulking? Our new Sacred Silicone caulking
please
tools
ignore
are ideal for
the
corners.
advertisement.
We see them in the sky nearly every day. But what are clouds? How do they form? And what do they mean for our weather?
Can everybody hear?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't hear, please let me know in the chat.
Clouds are composed of billions of tiny water droplets. And your average cloud is roughly a cubic kilometer in size and tips the scales at around 500 metric tons. The cloud stays aloft because, believe it or not, it's actually lighter than the air around it, because the water droplets are spaced so far apart that their density is comparable to air. So it comes down to comparing the molecules. And since water molecules are lighter than oxygen and nitrogen molecules that make up over 99% of the atmosphere, the water floats. Now, clouds form as warm, humid air rises and cools, and the water vapor condenses out onto tiny particles in the air. And there are several types, named based on their shape and their altitude. At the lowest level, there's cumulus, which form in fair weather. There's also stratus and stratocumulus, which can produce a bit of rain or snow. If the cumulus clouds pile up and reach for the sky, though, this tells us that stormy weather is brewing, and these can develop into enormous towering cumulonimbus clouds that are responsible for thunderstorms and sometimes even worse. At mid-levels, we have altocumulus and altostratus, which tend to indicate that some kind of active weather is probably on the way. When altostratus turns a dark gray and produces continuous rain or snow, it's then called nimbostratus. At high levels, there's wispy cirrus, cirrostratus, and cirrocumulus clouds, which typically form due to a nearby warm front. When these conditions prevail, we can also see persistent contrails, which are artificial.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there and just repeat a very important part of the video.
That make up over 99% of the atmosphere, the water floats. Now, clouds form as warm, humid air rises and cools.
So warm, humid air rises, and we learned this when we learned about air masses.
And the water vapor condenses out onto tiny particles in the air. And there are several types, named.
Okay. So clouds form when warm air rises, right? And raise your hand if you've seen fog, right? We see that all the time in the mountains. So fog is all that water vapor rising up, right? And as it goes up, it cools. and then it turns into clouds depending on the weather up there too, and how hot or how cold it is up there. Then we get some, and the types of fronts that we see, the air fronts that we see, that is how the shape of the clouds or the kinds of clouds come into play. And today we're going to learn about the different kinds of clouds. Can somebody explain to me, how do clouds form? So what I just repeated in their own words. How do clouds form?
Basically when heat is evaporated,
Mhm.
so well, when like water is evaporated by heat, they go up and condensate and form a cloud. So basically a cloud is just basically a cluster of moisture.
Very
And
good.
and then when the cloud gets too heavy, full of water, it precipitates, and that's basically rain.
Thanks, Daniel. All right, great. And so that is the most important thing that I want you to learn before you go into your groups. And then you will learn about different cloud types. Okay, and let me show you what you're going to do in your groups, and I will have a group with me. Okay, so I will post this Google document, and it has the picture of the kind of cloud and a short article about the type of cloud. So your job in your group is to write a brief description of what the cloud is. Why is it a cumulus cloud? Why does it have that name? Now, you're going to tell us in which weather conditions you can find the cloud. Is it, do we see this cloud when it's about to rain? Do we see this cloud when it's sunny, when it's warm? And you're going to tell me if it's high, medium, or low. So is it very high in the atmosphere, or is it very low, closer to Earth, or medium height? Then we have.
When we answer the questions, when we answer the questions, are we gonna be like, when we're all done, when we come back to the big meetings, and are we all gonna like share it, or are we just gonna?
Yes, I will talk about that. Okay, so I just want to finish explaining, and then I'll talk to you about what we're gonna do when we come back. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So then another group is going to work on cirrus clouds, another on stratus, and cumulonimbus and nimbostratus. There are more clouds than this, but these are the most common and I guess the most important and relevant to us and to what you should learn as fifth graders. So just know that these are just some cloud types. They're the most common or the most relevant to us, but there are more. So you will read the article with your peers and you will answer the questions. Now, Sophia wants to know, and I'm sure that's the question that all of you are asking, is when you come back, you will present the information. So with your group, you're going to tell us about the cloud. You're just really going to read from what you already wrote. The description, the weather conditions, and if it's high, medium, or low. Now everybody's going to have access to this same worksheet. And everybody will have a copy of the filled out worksheet. Okay, so you can study for your quiz. Any questions about that?
Can we look it up?
There's already a resource right here. See, there's a link to the article. Is that what you were asking, Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All righty. So let's break into our groups. Do that right now. Let me see how many people are we? 1, 2,
think if, Ms. Jonas, I
Yes.
think instead of counting the people on the Zoom, on the bottom, it says like how many people there are.
Oh, thank you for letting me know. I just realized that.
It also counts you though, so.
Yeah. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. I'm just naming the group so you know which cloud you're doing.